and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Just Sayin. I'm Jairus, and as always, I am joined with
Shea butter.
Shay Hutchinson. That's right,
uh,
the Hutch.
don't give out my PSN name.
No, I wouldn't do that. That's personal information.
That is. Sorry, the episode's coming out on a Sunday. This week, the schedule's gotten all messed up thanks to my job. So
And I was on vacation.
right. So we apologize. Next week it should be back to normal. But this podcast is our hobby, so things have to be a little fluid and we have to be flexible with our schedule. So it's not always going to be set in stone. So we apologize for any inconvenience.
That's right. So, real quick, I was on vacation while Shay was working his butt off and had a really good vacation. Went to Disney's Hollywood Studios for a day, got to see Star Wars and Toy Story and all that fun stuff. Only rode a few rides, but that was all right. The experience was great. I had not been to Disney since I was like 4 years old. So that was fantastic. And then we went to the 21 Pilots concert on Wednesday at the Kia Center. Fantastic concert. Tyler and Josh know how to put on a show.
Yeah, I bet.
So that was great. And then we went to this Museum of Illusions, which was really cool. Had a bunch of exhibits of illusions. And I showed Shay a couple pictures yesterday.
Pretty good.
It was pretty fun.
Pretty
And
funny.
and I don't know if you guys ever had Shake Shack, but wow, their burger blew me away.
But how are their shakes?
Shake was all right.
Hmm.
I ordered the peaches and cream shake. If you've had the one at Chick-fil-A, I think that one's better. And their fries were not great at all, like a 4 out of 10. You can get them loaded with the cheese and the bacon, which makes them obviously a little bit better, but a fry should be able to stand on its own. But the burger, fantastic. One of the best fast food burgers I've ever had.
Interesting coming from a place named Shake Shack.
Yeah, so we'll need to go there
Yeah.
sometime. So, but anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed your week. College football is currently starting or going on.
Yeah, as of
Week
this
2 of
recording,
the
yeah.
NFL's tomorrow. So we'll have plenty to talk about from last week
Yeah.
as well as next week in the next week's episode. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, we're going to start off, as always, with some sports news. And following up on the tragedy, the very sad tragedy of Johnny Gaudreau, sorry. The driver who was responsible, Sean Higgins, had a BAC of .087. So above the legal limit, what's allowed. Honestly, if you have any drinks, you shouldn't be behind the wheel.
Exactly.
Does not matter. Um, he's been charged with 2 counts of death by auto, among many other charges, including reckless driving, possession of an open container,
Mm.
and consuming while driving. So
Wow.
just absolutely terrible. Um, I will say, like, obviously, this man's life is also ruined now because of a bad decision,
Hmm.
but that does not take away from what he did.
Exactly.
It was a decision, a conscious decision, and it led to a horrible, horrible tragedy.
That's right.
So we just wanted to follow up on that. We'll keep you posted if any more developments arise. And moving on, Johnny Gaudreau's wife, in a tribute after the accident, revealed that she is pregnant with their third child. So just very, very sad all around.
Yeah. Again, I'm here just saying our thoughts and condolences and good vibes and all that go out to the Goodrow family and friends and everybody affected by this tragedy.
But there's always really good things to take out of this. How the hockey community, like we said, has came together and honored not just Johnny but his brother Matthew.
Yeah,
Uh,
sports, all the sports too. Even the WWE. Sammy Rain came out
oh
with
yeah,
his
that's
entrance
right.
wearing a Calgary Flames jersey because of it when they were up in Canada. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. So just great positivity all around, and I think it's really important to find that in these types of situations. So we will keep you posted if anything else happens. Moving on, the PWHL.
That
Finally, we get some news for women's hockey, baby.
yeah, that's right.
Second season, the Minnesota Frost, now the defending cup champions.
That is right. We were excited for the inaugural season last year and kept up with it up until we took our break from the podcast, and Minnesota did win after a very good series
Very thrilling.
with Boston, especially that fourth game, the way that ended. Oh my god. But Minnesota did get the victory, and they'll be coming back, and now all the names for the teams have finally been revealed after a whole season.
Yeah, but don't look twice, Shay, because some of these names are a little questionable.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be reworked after a couple seasons to be new names, or if they're just going to stick with them and it's just going to grow on people, which can happen, of course, but I'm not impressed by most of these.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get right into all the names. As mentioned, the Minnesota Frost, that's their name now, are the defending champions.
And that is Jarris's team for the PWHL until Florida were to ever get a team.
That's right. So I'm not a big fan of the name. I just think it's very, very generic. Um, yeah, I really don't have anything else to say. The F has like the stalactites or stalagmites, whatever they are, like on the edges. Um, I mean, it's not like a horrible logo. I like the logo more than the name for sure, but the name is pretty underwhelming. Actually, Shay, one of my favorites, probably my favorite, is actually the Boston Fleet, which the logo looks like sort of an anchor sideways.
Mhm.
And
With ripples in the B itself.
yeah, so I honestly really like that name. I think the logo is very well designed.
Yeah, I like the name because that's my team for the PWHL, obviously. Uh, I think it's very different compared to any other sports teams out there, really, or any other sports names. So I really do like it, and it embraces the history of Boston as Harbor City.
Yeah, and I will say with all these logos, even though I'm not a fan of most of them, they did try to get creative, which I
Yeah,
respect.
agree.
A lot of these names are not in any other sport,
Yeah,
which is cool. So moving on, the Montreal Victoire, which is victory in French.
I really like that because
I do like
that's
that a
very
lot.
different, obviously.
Yeah, the logo is kind of a shield. It has, and each logo has the team's colors
Hmm.
that were on the jerseys in the inaugural season when they just had the word mark
Yep.
from the city. So I really like that one. The New York Sirens, not not a big fan. I
Yeah.
guess it's supposed to be like for the city lights.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it
So
either.
that's probably the worst one for me. And then the Ottawa Charge, I do like the logo, but it looks like a child who drew the Calgary Flames logo.
Yeah, I don't like the name either.
So, uh, if anything, probably redo that one. I do like though. I don't know if this is intentional, but it looks like the center of the sea is like a hockey puck. That's zoom in, from when it was shot. So I think that was cool.
Mhm.
And the Toronto Scepters, I'm also a big fan of. It's got the scepter, which makes the T and then the S in the middle, and they cross. So I actually do really like that one.
Yeah.
It's obviously, like I said, all these logos are different, which I really respect. And so yeah, there you go.
Now you have official teams and team names and mascots to cheer on in the PWHL.
And yes, I will be getting a jersey for the Minnesota Frost.
Minnesota Frost.
And who knows, maybe your Christmas present will be a Boston Fleet jersey.
It is my favorite color. So
Oh, there you go. All right. So moving on. Gonna move on to some sports news here, including some injuries and some incidents. New Jersey Devils defenseman Luke Hughes for the NHL is out 6 to 8 weeks after an offseason training injury. So you know, obviously a blow to the Devils blue line, but they've signed a lot of players in the offseason, so I'm sure they'll have the depth to absorb that loss. In basketball, this is really surprising. Former Atlanta first round selection and current Rocket AJ Griffin is quote seriously considering stepping away from basketball, reported by Shams
Nope.
Charania.
Shams
Yeah,
Charania.
yeah. Shams Charania.
Close enough.
Yeah, and Kelly Iko of The Athletic. Just for the record, I'm bad at it, but I don't look up how to pronounce these names before the podcast. I probably should start doing that.
Probably.
So, Shay, what do you think about this? Because he's only 2 years, I think, removed from his draft year, selected 16th overall.
Well, it depends on his reasonings for why, as of which I do not know.
Nobody does.
But if
Yeah.
it's I mean, obviously two different scenarios, but if it's something similar to uh oh my god. Oh no, I'm gonna hate myself for this. I forget her name. Oh, if it's something similar to
Oh,
the
Simone
goat
Biles.
Simone Biles, I'm gonna hate myself forever now. Um, to where it's a mental health issue and they need to step away, then I am all for it. All for it. You need to take care of yourself first and foremost. Your mental health is just as important, if not more important, than your physical health. You need to take care of yourself. And if that is the reason, which again we don't know, but if that is the reason, more respect to him than anything because he's putting himself first.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. So, like I said, nobody knows the reasons yet. I'm sure he's having all the discussions with himself, his family, his, teammates, coaching staff, all that. So, we'll see what the reasoning is and see if he goes through with it. Uh, but like I said, kind of surprising because there were high expectations for him coming out of his draft year. Uh, had a good rookie season for the Hawks, but had his role reduced dramatically in his second year. Was traded to the Rockets in the summer and joined a pretty exciting young Rockets core. Uh, but if that's what you think, that's what's best for you, then by all means, got to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on. The Cleveland Browns. I don't know why they do this to themselves or how they get themselves in these situations, but their quarterback, Deshaun Watson, is now caught up in new SA allegations from an incident that occurred back in 2020. The NFL is not planning as of now to put him on the commissioner's exempt list, and he will be starting week 2 versus the Jaguars. And this is not the first time this has happened. He has a history of SA or S misconduct dating back to 2022 when he was fined and suspended 11 games.
I I can't comment on this because I'll just start going off. So it's not
Yeah,
not good.
obviously just absolutely disgusting. And if a person has a history of this type of stuff, it's probably not far off from what happened. So we'll see what comes out of that and keep you posted. But yeah, just a terrible situation. And this guy is getting $230 million.
Fully guaranteed.
So that's just great. Moving on. In baseball, the MLB is now to use postseason advertisements on helmets for the next 4 years in a new deal,
Hate
including
it.
including the big Strauss logo that you're going to see on all the helmets now.
Hate it. We this has been a thing in sports for the last like decade. It seems like where we're slowly going to start seeing advertisements on the uniforms. It's all over soccer. Um, I
Now,
hate it.
now, surprisingly, like advertisements on jerseys is not like a new thing. You see it all around the rest of the world,
Correct. Yeah.
in other hockey leagues, in the
Yeah.
KHL, in the SHL.
I but because we haven't had that here, I hate it. I hate that baseball's started having their official on-field uniforms with patches of advertisements. Same with basketball, hockey, the side of their helmet. Um, Football, the NFL is the only one that doesn't do it right now. They do it for their practice jerseys. They'll have the advertisement patch on their practice jerseys, but actual game jerseys, they do not do it. So they're not going to stick with it. They'll eventually change just like everybody else, but I hope it lasts for a while.
Yeah, I think it was last year is when the NHL finally decided to put advertisements on jerseys. A lot of teams have done that. The Lightning have not been one of them. I think the Bruins have put an
I'd have to
advertisement
see.
on their jersey.
At least it's not egregious like
Yeah,
the rest of the world,
it's like a
basically.
very small
Yeah.
one like
When
patch.
it starts getting egregious, like a lot of the soccer jerseys and stuff, where you can't even see what the team is, you just see all the advertisement logos. That's when it's oh my, I can't look at
Yeah, so we'll see how this goes, but obviously it's money related.
it. Exactly.
Like everything else, it's nothing new. All right, that's going to do it for sports news so far. Moving on, we got NASCAR. Shay, why don't you take the wheel on this one?
I see what you did there. That's a knee slapper. Ah, God. All right, Watkins Glen is coming up. Last week, Joey Logano won in Atlanta, and he is moving on to the round of 12. Watkins Glen is tomorrow as of this recording, which when this episode drops on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to YouTube first to get day early access. Um, you'll be listening to this podcast before the race. Juan Pablo Montoya is coming back to NASCAR for a one-time event to race with 2311 Racing at Watkins Glen. His first Cup event since 2014.
And moving on from that, we got some college football
We do
to
have
talk about
college
as well.
football. As we said a little earlier, it is currently taking place as of this recording, but some games have finished, so we will touch on those. First of all, being FSU has lost again, this time to Memphis. They're now 0-3 to start the new college year. This is
And it really does feel like at this point their season is basically over.
yeah, this is their second time since 2021 being 0-3, and then before all the seasons before 2021, they were only 0-3 twice in a 45-year span. So this is not good for FSU fans, but I am all for it. Um,
Same, but as a Gators fan, I can't really talk.
Correct, because speaking of the Florida Gators, oh, they
Mhm.
lost 33-20 to Texas A&M. So
No, no shame in losing to Texas A&M. They're one of the best schools in the country.
and Notre Dame came back strong after their terrible upset loss last week.
They must have been pretty pissed
They
off.
were pissed off because they destroyed rival Purdue 66-7. So I'm pretty happy about that because we needed that bounce back.
Yeah.
But that is pretty much it. There weren't really any big upsets so far as of this recording. So that will be it for this first part of the episode, as we will get to our little, bathroom break, get a drink, and let the dogs out, all that stuff. So we will be back just on the other side.
And welcome back, everyone. After that short break, moving on here from sports news, NASCAR. and all that other fun stuff, we're now going to get into the main event, the NFL.
That's right. Again, if you're listening to this on YouTube, day early access, you get to listen to this episode before week 2 starts on Sunday, besides the Thursday night game,
Oh, wait.
which we'll talk about.
I think I just did copyright again.
Well, you're not going to be listening to this episode then.
It's going to be taken down for copyright. All right. Anyways.
Anyway.
First order of business here. Star Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua
Oh, yeah.
suffers PCL sprain in a thrilling game, though, might I add, in a 26-20 OT win for the Lions, not the Rams. He will be out a minimum of 4 games as he's been placed on IR. So a lot of stars week 1 getting injured, and it's not going to be the last injury we talk about.
Nope. It's a physical game. There will be injuries every week, unfortunately.
Yeah, but these ones just seem a lot more brutal and really hit home.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that a little later here. But moving on to another injury that took place, Chiefs wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown has been placed on injured reserve, will undergo season-ending shoulder surgery for a preseason injury he suffered back on August 10th.
Yeah, this one could hurt the Chiefs a little bit. They were loaded as far as their offense goes with Pacheco in the back, obviously Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, and
Xavier Worthy.
That's right. So now Worthy will have a bigger role in the offense, which is very exciting, of course. But you do lose another speedster in Hollywood Brown, so we'll see what happens. It's still the Chiefs, though. I'm not betting against them.
Right.
Right, Jairus?
Right. Unless Patrick Mahomes gets injured, and then we could probably start worrying a little bit.
That's
but
the
hopefully
only,
that does not happen.
That's the only, because they can win without Travis Kelce, because they did that last year in the beginning. So.
Exactly. So, all right, moving on. We made our picks last week for the Monday night game, and we both picked the 49ers. 49ers won. They were victorious against the New York Jets 32-19. However, another injury to talk about.
Breaking news, Aaron Rodgers did play more than 4 snaps.
That's because he didn't have to carry out the American flag. Yeah. That's why. So, congrats to Aaron Rodgers on a great start.
That's right.
To the second season of the Jets.
Very good.
Yeah. All right. However, the bad news for the 49ers is that Christian McCaffrey continues to have his calf tightness and Achilles tendonitis issues. He was ruled out for week 2, but now it's came out today that he has been placed on the injured reserve, which means he will miss at least 4 weeks. And as we mentioned, Aaron Rodgers tries to shake off the rust and looks ahead to Sunday versus the Titans.
Sucks for those fantasy football players that took Christian McCaffrey in the first round.
Probably first overall.
Yeah, that I mean he'll be back. It's not season ending, which is good obviously, but that's a tough one.
Yeah, it looks like Emily was right.
Shout out Emily.
All right, moving on here. Thursday night football. Allen and the Bills blow out the Dolphins and continue to own Miami in the regular season and the playoffs, 31-10.
This is the Dolphins' 5th straight loss since Jalen Ramsey called Josh Allen trash. And
big mistake.
Yeah, and the Bills are now 11-2 over the Dolphins in their last 13 games. So
yeah, so not only do the Dolphins have to deal with the Chiefs, they have to deal with the Bills.
Yeah.
In their own division.
That's right.
But this really begs the question, Shay, is Josh Allen the early MVP frontrunner?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
If you have not watched this guy, by the way, like he is a beast.
He is must watch.
Literally can do it all.
He is must watch. I would love to see the Bills win a Super Bowl just for him alone, let alone all of Bills Mafia. But
And
yeah,
Jake.
yes, he's included in Bills Mafia. Um, I mean, I don't want to say that yet because we're still waiting for all the Sunday games. But he has looked very very good to start the year in the first two games. So you could say he's at least in the running for early MVP right now,
Yeah. As we all know, the MVP goes to the MVP of the league
which
during the
is
regular season,
now always a quarterback. So
usually. But there have been instances where it has not been a running
well,
back
yeah, but
or not been a quarterback.
the last like 15 or 20 awards have all been quarterbacks. So
Yeah. Which makes sense. Quarterback is, like
yes,
you said, the most important position, not just in football, but all of sports.
correct. Yeah.
So we'll see if Allen can keep up his fire god status. But unfortunately, that is not the biggest news coming out of this game. Tua, pronounce his last name for me,
Tagovailoa.
suffering his third concussion in 2 years after a scary collision with Bills safety Damar Hamlin. Now, Tua decided to run the ball to try to get the first down. Uh, it should be mentioned he did not slide, but since he didn't slide, he basically went head first into Damar Hamlin with the primary contact coming from his elbow.
Hmm.
Very scary uh, sight to see, and seeing it at full speed is even worse. Um, hits his head full force, falls back, hits his head right on the turf, just subsequent, and you could just tell immediately that it was a concussion.
Yeah, it was. It was. I didn't watch it live. I was working or sleeping because I had to work, whatever. But seeing the video online, it was very scary.
Yeah, so this begs the question, after the head trauma Tua has battled over the last 2 years, should he seriously consider retiring for his own safety?
First and foremost, and I cannot stress this enough. It is his decision. It is ultimately his decision at the end of the day whether he chooses to play or not. With that being said, many people have come out and said it's not worth it. Your health is more important. And I can't imagine being in his shoes, contemplating stepping away from the thing he loves most and the thing he loves to do the most and setting up him not only himself but his family with generational wealth for many generations potentially. Um so I can't imagine being in his position, but 3 concussions in 2 years. This last one looking like potentially the worst one. Um yeah, it he should he should seriously consider it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Your chances of CTE, like post concussion symptoms, into your 40s and 50s, for him, it's gone up dramatically. Not just because he's had three concussions, but because it's been in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's just not good, obviously, for his brain, his personal health, not just for him, too, but, he has a family that he has to take care of. So, like you said, he loves playing the game, obviously, and, not just playing the game, but making money doing what he loves, ton of money. But I mean, he's got some serious discussions that he needs to have with himself, his family, his coaching staff, his teammates. And like you said, ultimately it is his decision, but if I were him, it's definitely a very real possibility at this point.
Yep. Absolutely.
But not even that, like just right now, of course, us at Just Saying just hope that he has a full recovery. Obviously, probably will not be expected to play again this year,
Yeah, I don't know. No idea.
but we'll see. There hasn't been an official timetable, but the estimate it could be out like 8 to 12 weeks
Yeah.
at the minimum. So we will keep you posted. Wishing Tua a speedy recovery. I'm very sorry, Dolphins fans, and also I am sorry for me because I did draft him in the first round, which obviously is not important in this situation.
Correct.
So, but but yeah, just really sucks. I feel bad, really bad for the Dolphins. Um, after the season he had last year, turning it into a hefty extension and setting himself up, it really did feel like that this year could be like a big year for the Dolphins,
hmm
and now it's obviously in the question. So my question to you, Shay, as well, is: do the Dolphins look to trade for another quarterback, or do they bring up who they have at backup?
I I don't think Skylar Thompson, their backup, is gonna be able to lead them to victory necessarily. Like they'll win games still, of course, but lead them into the playoffs and beyond. But also, I don't know if they would be able to trade for another quarterback somewhere. I mean, their offense is so locked in. Waddle and Hill are so locked in that are you going to give up some of your O line or some of your defense? I, I don't know. It's a tough decision. I would probably see who's out there on the market to trade for. If it's not worth it, stick with Skylar Thompson and see what happens.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. So there's obviously a lot of questions right now with this injury for Tua and the team. So we will keep you posted with other things that develop, and we will see what happens for the Miami Dolphins. All right, moving on. A look ahead here. The Bengals have their first huge test on Sunday versus the Chiefs. But their secondary wide receiver T. Higgins is still questionable with a hamstring injury. And apparently, a lot of Bengals fans think that he is faking this injury for contract reasons. Which, why?
Yeah.
Why?
They just want him to play. That's why.
And the reason I'm really mad about this because you can't assume that somebody's just faking an injury,
Yeah.
especially when they play a physical sport. That's just ludicrous. There's not really much else I can say about that. And really, like, if there was still the off chance that Higgins was gonna stay past this season, uh, maybe this is what like really severs the relationship. Like, well, I have fans now that are saying that I fake injuries because I only care about the money. So why should I stay here?
Yeah, absolutely. And then on his front, assuming this is his last year with the Bengals, this is also a prove it year for the rest of the league that, yeah, he should be a number one. So now he's out missing games, not showing off what he can do on the field. So it's just it's just ridiculous to think he's faking it because he wants a contract. That's no.
Yeah, like I said, I really don't have anything else to say about that. Just very ludicrous. What are we doing, Bengals fans?
Yeah. But how do we feel about your chances against the Chiefs?
um, if Higgins is still questionable and he won't play, I haven't seen anything about him like moving to like a game time decision status. Uh, unfortunately, I'm gonna learn my lesson and I'm not gonna bet against the Chiefs. So I do believe the Bengals will lose and go down to 0-2.
Yeah, my opinion
They
after
need to win this
they
game,
need to, yeah, but
but
after how they looked last week against the Patriots,
out of all teams.
Again, the Patriots have a phenomenal defense, of course, but you still lost to them.
Yeah, that anemic offense they have, plus they were pretty much voted by every single person to finish last overall.
Yeah, if they come out like that again against the Chiefs, oh my god, Mahomes is gonna have a field day with the Bengals.
Yep, and I'll be very embarrassed. So, see what happens with the Chiefs and Higgins. I'm very sorry that the Bengals fandom is treating you this way. I am not one of them. Moving on, Shay, your Bills
Nope.
or Birds.
Yeah.
Well, a bird has a bill,
Oh, yes.
so
Actually has a beak, but anyway, the Eagles
some do.
do face against another kind of bird, the Falcons, in Monday Night Football. Kirk Cousins looking to bounce back after his bad and questionable start last week in their season opener. So yeah, the Birds, the Eagles, going up against the Dirty Birds, the Falcons. Um, I like our chances. I now I say that we'll probably lose because we should win this game, so we'll probably lose. But we should win, especially if Saquon has another game like last week, and he's like, yeah, I'm the back, and he's one of the best backs in the league. Yeah, I think we have a pretty good chance.
I think so. I think obviously the Eagles should win this game.
Yeah,
Uh,
Jalen Hurts needs to be better though. He needs to not throw an interception this week. That's please.
yeah, but yeah, Kirk Cousins will be looking to bounce back, and he is now my starting quarterback. So
Good luck.
I hope he bounces back. All right, moving on. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Browns face off in the Jaguars home opener as both teams look for their first win after losses in week one. Funny little tidbit here. Trevor Lawrence has Everbank Stadium renamed in a new collab with the sponsor, and it
Mhm.
will be called Trevor Bank Stadium on Sunday. So if Trevor Lawrence throws an interception, we're going to decide to make a commercial
Yeah.
and be like, "Are you like Trevor Lawrence's football and your credit gets intercepted by scammers?
Yeah.
Well, then you need Everbank."
That would be very funny.
So pretty cool there. I thought that was pretty funny.
Mhm.
So hopefully the Jaguars can win this one, which I think they will. Especially with all the distractions now the Browns have.
Yeah.
Uh,
Their defense did not show up like people thought they would against the Cowboys, so
yep, and I was one of those people because I
yep.
picked the Browns to win against the Cowboys, and I had to hear it from my coworker. All right, that's gonna do it for the NFL. But moving on, we're gonna talk about our fantasy league that we're doing, and we're gonna give you our picks for tomorrow's games.
Yeah, so I have a fantasy football league that Jarrett's joined this year. I'm actually in 3 of them this year. I lost my other 2, but I did win my league, 124 to 85. I will not name names, but I did win 124 to 85, carried by the Bears defense. Jarrett's, though, you got higher than me. You were actually the top scorer last week.
Oh, I actually did not know that.
Yeah, you were the top scorer. You got 149.82 and you won 149 to 114. So, good job. Congratulations.
Yep, but now
But now,
Tua is out, and T. Higgins is still questionable.
yep.
So it's not looking as good for me this week as it did last week.
Yeah. We'll see, but we'll keep you guys posted on our own little personal fantasy football league moving forward. But now we're just going to make some picks for
That's
week
right.
2. We already picked for Thursday. We did both pick for the Bills to win against the Dolphins. We believe in Josh Allen.
Even
Pretty
though
simple.
even though I picked the Dolphins to win the division, and now
Yes.
that's not looking very good.
Correct.
So,
I believe in Josh Allen, though.
yeah. Well, you picked the Bills because you believed in Josh Allen. I picked the Dolphins not because I didn't believe in Josh Allen, but just because I thought the Dolphins would be the better team.
Yeah. But this past Thursday, we both did pick the Bills still, regardless. So now moving on to Sunday,
That's right.
tomorrow,
We're gonna
today.
yeah. So we're gonna go in order and make our picks. And I'll make my picks if Shea agrees. He'll say he agrees. If not, he'll pick the other team. So first up, we got the 49ers against the Vikings. I'm obviously going to take the 49ers in
Yep.
this one.
I will take the Niners as well.
The Seahawks and the Patriots could be interesting.
Could be.
Um, I don't know if I can see the Patriots winning 2 in a row. I won't lie, but the Seahawks also didn't look great against the Broncos last week.
Mhm.
I felt like that should have been an easy win. So I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm actually going to take the Patriots
So
in
am I.
this one.
So am I.
I think from last week, there'll be a lot of like motivation for them, and they're playing with no expectation, which
Yeah.
is a big factor. When you're playing with no expectation, you can just go out there and play the game. So 49ers, Patriots. Next in the Tank Bowl is the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. Uh,
Mhm.
this one is tough because both teams didn't do great, but the Commanders did do better offensively against the Bucks last week. So I will take the Commanders in this game.
So will I. So we're in agreement so far.
All right. Hey, it makes it easy. Next up, Chargers and Panthers. I'm gonna take the
Chargers.
Chargers because
Chargers.
Panthers did not do great at all.
They picked up where they left off last year, which sucks to say because I
And it
think Bryce Young
sucks.
deserves better.
Exactly. I was gonna say it sucks because I believe in Bryce Young.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that he's on the Panthers,
Yeah.
and their top defensive tackle went down with a season-ending knee injury.
Yeah.
So that's just great for the Panthers. So yeah, Chargers easy pick. Next up is the Saints versus the Cowboys. I gotta go with the
Mhm.
Cowboys, unfortunately.
I will also pick the Cowboys. Wow, this total agreement here.
Yeah, and we didn't really think about these beforehand. Like we're kind of doing
It's on
them
the
on
fly,
the
yeah.
fly, which I think is a lot more fun.
Yeah.
So next up, we got the Colts and the Packers. Now Jordan Love is out for the Packers.
Mhm.
Anthony Richardson looked okay for the Colts, and their defense. A lot of people are saying their defense is good, but they were kind of like average last week. So Shay, who are you picking?
I will be picking the Colts.
Interesting. Who's their backup?
The Colts?
Or like the Packers? Like who's going to be playing now?
Oh, for Jordan Love?
Yeah.
I do not know.
Well, that probably says a lot. um yeah, I'll go with the Colts. I'll go with the Colts. The Browns and the Jaguars. Now, I would have said the Browns, but from the news that has came out over this week, I think it should be the Jaguars win.
Yeah.
Just
Both
because of the
teams did not
distraction.
both teams did not look good last week.
Now, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think the Jaguars played really well against Miami. They just couldn't maintain it
Well, yeah,
like through the second half.
the Jags played well in the first half. The second half, they didn't do anything.
Yeah. So I don't think it was more so like the Jags playing bad, but like Miami just being the better team. Like
Yeah.
finally showing up and like, yeah, we should win this. So I don't,
Yeah, I will
this one's a little tough.
I will finally disagree and say that I'll take the Browns this week.
All right.
We finally have
I
our
don't
first disagreement.
I don't disagree with you on that pick. I just think, like I said, I think the Jags
Yeah.
should bounce back. So next up is the Jets and the Titans. And if you didn't see Will Levis last week, which he's my third string quarterback, uh, he did not do great at all.
Yeah.
So is Aaron Rodgers and the Jets going to bounce back, or are the Titans going to pull one out here?
I'm picking the Jets.
All right. I am going to go with an upset. I think the Titans will win this one.
Okay.
Now, the divisional round rematch. The Buccaneers and the Lions.
Give me the Lions.
I
Baker was the best quarterback last week, week 1. He
but
was
the
the
Bucks
best.
are at Ford Field.
Yeah.
As well.
Give me the Lions.
I will agree with you and go with the Lions.
And Dan Campbell's Applebee's commercials are the best commercials on TV right now.
Yeah. All right, next up, Raiders and Ravens.
Give me the Ravens.
I agree. Rams and Cardinals. Now, Kyle Murray did do well.
I was going to say the Rams right away because it's the Rams and they finally look like they used to look. It's Matt Stafford, but they don't have Puka. Kyler Murray looked really, really well in week 1. I'm expecting Marvin Harrison Jr. to actually be part of the team because they did not throw to him at all, and I was kind of disappointed. So this is a lot tougher now that I had to think about it for a second because I thought it'd be the Rams all day, but give me the Rams still. I trust Matthew Stafford. They still have Cooper Kupp, so
yeah, I'll agree with you. I'll go with the Rams, but could be an interesting game. Bengals and Chiefs. I got to go with the Chiefs
give
because
me the Chiefs.
can't bet against the Chiefs.
Give me the Chiefs.
Moving on. Steelers and Broncos. This also could be an interesting game.
Give me the Steelers.
All right. Yeah, I'll take the Steelers because just the defense.
Yeah.
Defense always shows up. We got the Chicago Bears and the Texans.
Give me the Texans.
Give me the Texans. And then the aforementioned Falcons and Eagles. Give me the Eagles.
Give me the Eagles. So we only had a
right.
couple disagreements there.
Yeah, a few of them. Picked a few upsets.
Yeah.
So it always happens every week. You got a couple upsets here and there. Most of them usually are expected results. So yeah, there you go. There's your week 2 picks. We will be keeping track of our record, and we'll let you know what our record is after week 2. Moving on. My bread and butter. And I'm very excited to finally start getting into hockey content because hockey season is upon us. Less than a month away starts October 10th with the Global Series.
When it'll still be hot as hell here in Florida.
That's right. So really excited for hockey, and I'm really excited to talk about hockey today. So let's get right into it. First up, the Fanatics deal, I believe we've talked about before. It's going to be a 10-year deal.
We're worried about it.
With the NHL. We're obviously worried about it, but there is some good news, and I might not be as worried about it as I once was. So the way Fanatics jerseys are going to work, there's going to be 4 levels of jerseys. First, and we haven't had this in the last 10 years, there's going to be an authentic on-ice jersey, and it's going to be manufactured by the same Quebec factory that has produced them the last 50-some years.
Yeah.
So that's great news. So
Yes.
you can get an authentic on-ice jersey that the players wear for yourself.
For $600.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just joking
It's
around, but
probably
it'll be
going
very
it's probably
expensive.
going to be very
Yeah.
expensive because the tier below that is the premium, which is equivalent to the Adidas we have now, which right now I believe they're around 250 to $260. And then they're still going to have the breakaway, which is I would say the breakaway is not that much cheaper like than the premium. They're usually about 199. So, in my opinion, if you're already spending $200 on a jersey, I would just spend the extra $60 and just upgrade,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But the breakaway jerseys are supposed to be more comfortable to wear, especially for the more casual fan that goes to the games. So that might be a lot of people's favorite option. But the last tier is just going to be like a practice jersey, and I'm sure it'll be cheaper than the breakaway. We have yet to see the prices on all of these. Excuse me, but yeah, I'm not as worried, especially if like the same factory is manufacturing. Like it's going to be good quality. The thing I am worried about is like consistency and obviously the price because everything just continues to go up.
Your
My
jersey addiction.
collection, I only have about 10 of them.
uh, I mean, of course, it's going to get bigger. You're always going to buy jerseys, but it might have to slow down for a little bit.
It already has. I mean, I look here and there, but I don't buy jerseys brand new anymore
Yeah.
unless it's something like that I absolutely have to have. And I almost did that with the Anaheim Ducks 30th anniversary, but I just could not at the time justify the money.
Yeah.
So there's the jersey situation. And moving on, we're going to recap free agency. We're going to recap what our teams did in free agency and, maybe give you some little league news here. So starting off, free agency was July 1st, all the way back when. And the first day, the first 24 hours of free agency, over $1 billion was spent in total money.
It's a lot of money. That's just over Shohei Otani's contract.
That's right. So only $300 million more for every single player in NHL free agency than one guy in baseball.
That's right.
That is the difference between the NHL and the rest of pro sports.
That's right.
But this means the flat cap era has came to an end.
That's right.
Cap now is going to continue to go up, which is the expectation. It went up $4 million this year. The expectation next year is going to go up another $4 million and could even go up more because the NHL over the last couple years has made record revenues of only $6.97 billion. so
Totally.
So yeah, but that's good news. The players, get paid more money, which they obviously deserve. Hockey is just as physical as any other sport. It's
Yep.
just as dangerous. So very happy that the players are getting more money, getting more average salary.
Yep.
So I think it's great that GMs are going out and spending more money. So the biggest free agency team, and I have to talk about them because a certain Lightning player has decided to sign there. The Nashville Predators add Steven Stamkos, the Lightning franchise cornerstone. They also add Brady Shea and Jonathan Marchessault, who were very big names on the free agent market from the Carolina Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights, respectively. They believe that they can challenge for a cup over the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I think they could. And I just don't like the Lightning letting Stamkos go like they did.
Now, it should be noted, and we'll get into this later, but they gave Hedman a 4-year, $8 million extension, which is literally the same extension that Stamkos got.
Yep.
So the money that they were going to give Stamkos went to Hedman.
Yeah.
So they obviously to me, that signals that they obviously did not have a plan to keep Stamkos.
We'll get into it when we get to the lighting. We'll get into it.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about both of our teams, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston
Yeah.
Bruins, starting with the Lightning. So, the biggest problem for them the last season was team defense. They were 22nd in the league in goals against. So, obviously, Vasilevsky, our goaltender, didn't have a great year. Obviously, was coming off of a major injury.
Yeah.
So, to combat this, the Lightning add probably one of the biggest free agent names, Jake Gensel from the
Mhm.
Pittsburgh Penguins, sign him to a 7-year, $9 million per season contract, and obviously let Stammer walk. Hedman, as we mentioned before, signed his extension, and he's likely to be named the new captain. But I think Kucherov should get a look for captain because I think he has fantastic compete level. He's the best offensive player on the team. And yeah, so I think he should get some consideration, but it will probably be Hedman. He's been there since Stamkos was there.
Yeah, it'll probably be Hedman.
So, including these extensions, they reworked the bottom six and their defense with additions like Cam Atkinson from the Flyers, Zemian Gergensons from Buffalo. Sorry, Jake. They traded for Ryan McDonough from the Predators in the offseason, and they add a young defenseman JJ Mosier. They traded away Tanner Jeannot and Mikhail Sergachev. JJ Mosier came in that deal for Sergachev from Utah, and I respect Julian Brisebois, our GM, just saying, you know what, the Jeannot experiment has not worked. Let's just give him a fresh change of scenery and just admit that we lost. And probably the worst trade in Bolts history. I respect it.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't try to keep him around and string him along,
Yeah.
so I respect it. Other exits include Matt Dumba, Anthony Duclair, who were our deadline pickups, depth players, and many others. But will age be an issue for this team? They are currently have an average player age of 29.4, which makes them one of the oldest teams in the league.
But right up there with Boston.
That's right. So, why am I saying all this, Shay? Right? So, my question is, are the Tampa Bay Lightning still Stanley Cup contenders, which you don't add Jake Gensel if you don't believe you can still contend for a cup
Mhm.
after their back-to-back first-round exits?
It's hard to say. They're all You guys did a lot of work to your team. Gensel, obviously the biggest pickup, the most important piece, or most important addition that was added. Um, I don't know though. You know hockey more than I do, and obviously you'll answer this question when I'm done. But to me personally, they haven't done anything over the offseason at least to show me, oh yeah, we're getting right back to the finals. We're finally going back. Um, Now, will Vazzy bounce back after his like kind of rough year, subpar year to Vazzy standards? Yeah, I think so because he has now had a full offseason to recover and doesn't have to worry about the surgery and stuff anymore. But he could be forever changed. Like we won't know till he starts playing, obviously. But I think he'll have a bounce back year. But I just don't know if the team around him is that much different, really, from the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. Um, if we're still Stanley Cup contenders, this is the year. This is our last shot, in my opinion. you don't go out and add Jake Gensel if you don't believe you can still contend for the cup. If Stammer has a fantastic year in Nashville and Jake Gensel struggles, that's going to be a huge disaster.
Yeah, I already don't like that you guys just let Stammer go and didn't, according to like reports and stuff during the season, didn't really come to the table to talk to him or whatever. But if he does have a great year in Nashville and they either get farther in the playoffs than the Lightning or make the playoffs and the Lightning don't, or
But
they
don't even make the playoffs.
yeah, or they win the cup or make it to the finals, like it's going to look really bad for the Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I don't know like who would go first in a scenario. Like if the Lightning this year get off to a slow start, I could see Brisebois at least considering making the change behind the bench
Yeah.
just to save his job. But if that happens and at the end of the year, like Gensel has struggled and Stamkos had a great year, especially if we miss the playoffs and they make it, I could see him like getting canned.
Mhm.
Um, with the contract too, Gensel gets a $38 million signing bonus.
It's a lot of money for hockey. That's a lot of money.
So the cap hit makes it like not one of the highest in the league, but like average annual salary, he's actually the fourth highest paid player this year,
Yeah.
ahead of McDavid,
Yeah.
ahead of McKinnon.
Yeah, that's
So
if he struggles, that's not good. Or if he gets
yeah,
injured and misses half the year, that is not good.
now he's going to be on a line most likely with Kucherov and Brain Point on the power play.
Yeah, yeah.
So it sounds like a match made in heaven, and he's younger. I understand the reason, like when Brisebois explained it, I understand the reasoning behind the decision, but obviously for a lot of fans, it just does not sit well.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the Lightning do. Can they contend for a cup? Will they be middle of the pack, barely make the playoffs, have a first round exit, or will they just miss the playoffs? We'll see.
We'll see.
But moving on to your team, the Boston Bruins. I hate Boston, especially the Bruins. For me, their biggest issue, and I think is still sort of an issue, is that they lacked a true number one center.
Mhm.
And I'll get into that a little later. They did have their offense, but most of it was generated from David Pastrnak.
Mhm. Correct.
So to fix this, the Boston Bruins add Elias Lindholm, uh, who he was in Calgary, and then when he was traded to Vancouver before then, Boston was rumored to be in on him, and then he got traded to Vancouver, finished the season in Vancouver, and then Boston got him. So they've been linked to Lindholm for a hot minute here.
Yeah.
So they signed him to a 7-year, $7.75 million per season contract. This is, in my opinion, a very risky contract. Lindholm did not have a great year. He was around like 40, 50 points. Uh, he is he is good defensively. He's good in the faceoff dot. But I just don't see Lindholm as a true number one center. Ideally, he's a second line center, in my opinion. But you don't pay the man that amount of money, not expecting him to put up first line center production.
Yeah. Exactly.
So Don Sweeney and the Bruins are counting on Lindholm having a bounce back season. And if he doesn't, that contract is going to look really bad really fast.
Yeah.
Another contract they signed, which is also risky, is Nikita Zorov, a defenseman from Vancouver as well. Signed a 5-year, $6 million extension. And the only reason this is risky is because he is in his 30s and he plays a very physical game, and that adds up a lot on the body.
Yeah.
So in year like 4 or 5 of this contract, he could finish out his career on LTIR, or because he's not really known for production, so I assume he'd be on either the second or third pairing for you guys. Uh, but you never know. That could be exactly what you guys need, like that big physical presence.
Yeah, I mean, if we win the cup, contract doesn't matter. It was a success.
Exactly. So, so obviously the team believes they can still contend for the cup, but they did have to shed some money and some players. First off, starting with Linus Allmark, the 2023 Vezina Trophy winner, was traded to the Ottawa Senators for a 2024 first round pick. Mark Kastelic, who was a fifth round pick by the Senators, and goaltender Jonas Korpisalo, which the Senators retained 25%. And really, like the Canucks and Bruins, like swapped players. It was kind of weird. Lindholm Zadorov from the Canucks go to Boston, and Jake DeBrusk, Dan Heinen, and Derek Forbert all head to Vancouver.
Yep,
So it's pretty much
just
just a
swap it.
switch.
Yeah.
uh, I'm I'm not like surprised that DeBrusk walked, but I am I do think that you need offense, and I think letting DeBrusk walk was not the right solution. But you obviously brought in Lindholm.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I hate to see DeBrusk go. He's been with Boston for a while now, but all good things must come to an end eventually. Um, Pretty sure everybody, especially after the season that Swayman had, everybody already expected Allmark to be the goaltender to go because you can't keep both.
No, you can't invest like 14-15 million dollars
Yeah,
of the cap in your goaltenders.
yeah, like it was great for 2 years to have the best tandem, but yeah, you got to go with the younger guy that showed more promise this last year than you know Allmark did, who did struggle from his Vesna year prior.
Yeah, and obviously the 2023 Bruins and Allmark, he obviously was not going to be able
Yeah,
to replicate a
yeah,
season like that.
exactly. So
So he still had a good year, and the Bruins getting in the first, honestly, I couldn't complain,
yeah, no, not at
especially
all.
since he only has a year left on his contract.
Exactly.
So I think that was great work by Don Sweeney to make that trade. Uh, but Swayman is still not signed, which now that they've traded away Allmark, you have to sign Swayman.
Yeah.
And they currently have around $8.6 million remaining cap space. The rumor is the Bruins are offering like a $6.5 million per season extension, and Swayman wants 8.5.
I'm not worried until training camp starts.
Yeah. But if training camp does start and it's reported that they're still not close, then I
That's not
think
good.
you would be worried
If
because
we don't have Swayman, we're not making the playoffs.
yeah, I'd have to agree because Jonas Korpisalo after the season he had in Ottawa, I would not be excited to have him as the starter.
Yeah.
So there's that. Off-season moves for the Bruins. Kind of news coming out of here. Brad Marchand apparently over the offseason had 3 surgeries, but he will be ready for training camp, and he is a UFA in 2025. Shay, do you think that the Bruins should re-sign him?
Yes.
All right, moving on. So after all this offseason talk for the Bruins, they have not seen much playoff success since they went to the finals in 2019, where they gloriously choked Game 7 against the Blues,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and I watched all of it. But that was also the year the Lightning lost in 4 straight to the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round, so I
Correct.
couldn't really
Correct.
talk any crap. But the final question I have for you, Shay, has Don Sweeney done enough for this team to put them into Stanley Cup contention?
It's funny. I think the Bruins and Lightning are in a very similar situation. and they both had similar off seasons with a lot of changes. Um, I I don't know. I don't I don't know if we've done enough to get over that hump. Now, last year we did better because we made it to the second round. Um, but I'm still not confident that we've done enough to at least make it to the conference finals or even the Stanley Cup finals. I'm not confident about it. I still think we'll be a playoff team. I do, but unless Swayman doesn't get signed, then we're done. I'm just all hope's gone there. But yeah, I don't know. I think we'll still be a playoff team. I would hope we'd at least get back to the second round, but beyond that, I really don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. And it was weird because when I was putting that together, I was like, the Lightning and Bruins are in a eerily similar spot. And you have a lot of teams below us, the Red Wings, the Sabres, the Senators, they're all trying to make the playoffs.
Mhm.
So somebody has to come out. Uh, I think it could be Toronto. Toronto's kind of been on a little downward trend, but they do have like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner.
Yeah.
So I I think it's highly unlikely that they would be the one to fall out of the playoffs. And Florida, they just won the cup, so I don't think they're falling out. But we've been surprised before.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But
what
the Bruins have always been a great regular season team.
yeah,
So I don't really have any doubt that they're going to make the playoffs. Uh, but you never know.
it's nice making the playoffs, but it just gets old after a while of
Right.
consistently making the playoffs. Like,
And then
all
you're
right,
like,
can we
okay,
just
can we blow it up, rebuild?
yeah,
Yeah,
but
like maybe the worst spot, like in the short term, is being at the basement. But I feel like the worst spot you can be in, especially long term, is just mediocre, middle of
right,
the
yeah,
pack.
exactly. But that will wrap things up for this week of Just Saying. Thank you everybody so much for listening. Again, apologize for the weird schedule, but it's not always a guarantee it'll be on the same day every single week. So, as always, make sure you follow all our socials that will be posted in the description below. And subscribe to our YouTube channel because day early access.
Day early access.
But
Think of it as like Amazon Prime.
same
for
day
podcasts.
delivery. Except day early. But you listen on Spotify or any of the other platforms we do post to. Of course, we're very appreciative of all of you as well. So thank you very much for listening. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy some football. And we'll see you next week.